Hey everyone, Pooja Joshi here. Welcome to the very first episode of Unlocking Titiksha, a space where we explore the journeys of incredible women and unlock the resilience within us. Titiksha means endurance, the strength to keep going. And what better way to begin than by talking about mental health? As women, we juggle so much, but how often do we pause and check in on ourselves? To dive into this, I have an amazing guest, my soul sister, my BFF, Dr. Kaninika Ninave, a clinical psychologist who also happens to be a fabulous Bharatanatyam dancer. She works closely with women navigating stress, expectations, and everything in between. So grab a moment for yourself and let's begin unlocking Titiksha. Kaninika, welcome to Titiksha.
Hi.
Hi. So, when life throws you so many challenges, and when you have a friend like you can navigate and overcome any of those. You are one of my closest people, and perhaps one of the most tenacious person I know. How does it feel to be here?
I'm so excited that you're doing this. I want to give you lots of love and I think you're going to receive amazing feedback. I'm always in your corner.
Thank you. I know you'll always have my back and vice versa. You and me always together. Yes. So from lazing around in the evenings, chit chatting, and to this formal setup, we've come a long way.
We sure have.
We sure have. And we have witnessed each other's journey. And we've both grown up in a family where our parents took pride in being parents to a daughter. Yeah, we have been raised in a way to function as whole beings, complete individuals. And it was only recently that I realized that the world views you through a gendered lens. Have you had similar experiences?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to begin with, I have to be thankful for the sort of upbringing we've had. Our parents have been, I think, few of the coolest people I know.
Yes, they have.
And because of that, I think we've grown up being more rounded individuals, I'd put it like that. But after college you walked out into like life, and you do definitely experience a gendered lens. For example, right after I got my job, I wanted to buy my first car. And of course I was young, but it didn't mean I couldn't buy a car. I was there with my ex boyfriend, now husband, and that person who was marketing there in the sales team constantly kept talking to Ankit, and I was like, I want to buy the car. Even he kept telling that person that she's the one who's going to buy the car. She's the one who's going to pay. But that person just kept talking to him for some reason. So I think I've had a couple of instances like that.
I've had my fair share of experiences as well. So it seems not every girl would have that kind of backing at home and support system. So, as a mental health expert, what kind of cases do you get? What kind of insights do you have? What is it like to be a girl being born and someone who's looking to thrive and grow in our culture in India?
Yeah, I think it's a very layered question because so much is involved, like there is, of course, a patriarchal system that we follow, and therefore the societal expectations of what women should be are very different. So there is, I see, like some sort of a focus on struggle rather than empowerment and achievement, right? So the struggle is glorified in that sense. She has done this and that and that, and there was so much adversity, and then yay, she reached somewhere, and maybe she'll get a clap, or maybe like people will say, oh, that must have been too much, etc. But if you look at it, like, why can't women just simply want success and achievement?
Correct.
And not have to have hurdles and just have like a straight off walk like any other person in this world? So I think that in itself is a difficulty that women face whilst they're moving forward, because they're beginning their race way behind.
Correct. So physiologically, we are different than men, but when it comes to hard work or talent, it's the same kind of struggle that any other individual would have. Then, as you rightly said, there's so much focus on the vulnerability and some presumptions that are being made because of the patriarchal sort of upbringing that we have. So, from Rosalind Franklin to Tessie Thomas, uh, things have changed, but the struggle still remains. What do you think about it?
Oh, of course, the glass ceiling effect is very real. I have a lot of clients from the corporate sector who have come and reported this as a problem. On an average, if you look at the graph of the highest earning people in the corporates over the years, you will see that the gap between what women earn and what men earn, it increases drastically. So maybe men always earn more than women even at their beginning salary,
Right.
but the difference is sort of little.
Yeah.
But as they keep growing up the ladder, you see that the difference is getting
Wider.
almost double times
Yeah.
wider. So
Pay
it's
parity is a real issue.
absolutely. Also, for women, I feel who have, despite all this, made it to the top, there's that thing that, oh, she must have taken a shortcut, or she's either, slept with someone to go ahead, or she has some sort of connection, some jack. So that the due credit to the skill set or intellect or ability of the woman is totally, not taken into consideration. So, yes, that is something that's quite rampant.
Right. Is it causing a lot of mental health issues for women?
Definitely, because workplace is a place where we are spending like half of our day or even more sometimes. And when you're not given your due, you're not given proper treatment, you're not given a track to progress, it is going to affect the mental health of the women working there. Definitely.
Right. And then women have to play, multiple roles. Women are told to be bold, but don't be too bold. Speak your mind, but think about log kya kahenge. And get married, have children, but don't lose yourself. So you see the contrast there. And then once you get married, you have to prioritize the expectations of your in-laws, and motherhood is whole different ball game altogether. How have you dealt with, how do you advise your clients? Also give us some insights into what you think as a mental health expert.
Yeah, very interesting. We've always had these conversations. So, a lot of women also who come to us, they come with issues related to their interpersonal conflicts with their partners, with their in laws. There's this very specific, I think, Asia or more India specific thing, we call it dil mil conflict, daughter in law, mother in law.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is very real, and it's not there only in women who come from rural areas or lower socioeconomic classes. It's also prevalent in all other classes. So women also come with work-related issues, how they have to, juggle between their roles. That is there. Then body image issues, a lot of women come up with because there's such a expectation that you will look a certain way, and if you're not looking that certain way, then you're probably not good enough. So that is being also perpetuated through social media and a lot of the western influences, so that is there. Besides that, there will be issues that are related to past traumas, domestic violence, sexual assaults. So of course quite severe in nature, but a lot of women also come up with issues related to that. And in general, the mental health conditions that we frequently see are anxiety and depression. It's much higher in women as against men.
You've mentioned a lot of issues and touched upon various things that one has to adjust to when they move into a new family. And like we said, motherhood is a whole different ball game. So I know of this lady. She was pregnant, and the doctor had advised her complete bed rest for 9 months. And she was told that if she followed everything that was asked, she would have a normal delivery. Okay. Now she did what was told to her, But then there was some family crisis, nothing that the family couldn't handle. But then she was asked to cook food for some 9, 10 people, okay, which she did and landed up in emergency. She had an emergency C-section, and cut to it doesn't stop here. They didn't bring her the food that she's supposed to have right after delivery.
That's really
Typically in
sad.
India, they're fed rice congee, भाताची पेज ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, किंवा the halwa or shira or whatever that is. They didn't bring that to her. So it was the nurses who stood by her and made her that food, made her feel at home, and welcomed her baby. Now think about that. Now probably she has so much repressed anger within her. She has bouts of anger that she expresses every now and then, and people are so like ignorant and they label her as a toxic person. Postpartum depression is real. What do you think about that?
Of course, it's a real issue. Most women do experience some amount of what we call postpartum blues. Little sadness here, a little confidence shake, a little crying, a little bit here and there. But postpartum depression, it develops, with just like a small subsection of women, but it's quite serious. So they will have a range of symptoms from, like their sleep can be much more or much less, or they may be eating much more or much less. They can be, repetitive crying spells which they are not able to control. There's a pervasive sadness of mood which is not kind of shaken by anything. They're not able to connect with their child, they're not able to care for their child, or they're not able to nurture their child. In fact, there's a lot of anger and irritability when they are told to do things for their own child. So obviously it's like a double whammy for them. They're not able to care for the child they've given birth to, and family members are wondering, what sort of a horrid person this is. They're not able to care for their own child. So that's also inducing a lot of guilt in them. That makes them feel helpless, hopeless, worthless. So the whole cycle kind of, keeps going around in circles. So it's a very difficult space for women to be in, especially because, like what you just also said. I mean, even if most women may not have such a extreme situation, there is a total dethroning. 9 months you're like this glorious queen, everybody is giving you the food you like, and they're pampering you, this, that and the other, and now you've given birth to a child, and that's about it. Then everything else just becomes about the child. Like you are fed so that you can milk the child. People are coming to visit you, but they are playing with the child. So it's like it may sound very childish or whatever, that it's like what women want so much attention, like it's their own child, etc. That's not the point. The point is that there is a huge change in the status quo as a person. Like overnight they have become something else altogether. And that transition takes some time for everybody to sink in. There is no person like who will actually go and explain what exactly can happen, what can go even wrong a lot of times. Like we are just told how beautiful rosy picture, oh, best thing to happen to women, etc. And I've been a mother and I've cherished every single moment of it, so no complaints. But definitely it's a lot of hard work, especially after you have given birth to the child. I think giving birth is like the easiest part.
True.
But the first 2-3 months, they're so difficult. Like you don't know, especially if it's your first child, you're not sleeping first and foremost. You're waking up so often. Then you're breastfeeding the child every 2 hours. You're burping them, putting them down. You barely slept, you're up again. It's, you're living like a zombie almost.
True.
And in all of this, there is that expectation for a lot of women to also do chores at home, to be available to guests, to entertain people. So that can become too overwhelming.
True. Now, I say this to my child sometimes. It was easier to care for you when you were in my belly. And although you have these 9 months of gestation period but it doesn't prepare you for the motherhood itself.
Correct.
Because people forget that when the child is born, the mother's born as well.
Absolutely.
And There's no way anyone can prepare you for that. You need support and love of your family members at that point of time because you're so vulnerable. You're learning on the go, and
Yes.
also dealing with the hormonal changes that you undergo. So it's a tricky situation.
Absolutely.
Meryl Streep, she once said that we speak men, which means patriarchy is still ingrained in us,
Yes.
and yet it is a modern, contemporary world. Could you advise a few ways that would benefit us to cope with the everyday stress that we have and experience?
I'd love to, definitely. I think the first thing women struggle with a lot is assertiveness. So, learning to build boundaries is a very important tool to have in your coping kit, I feel. It's okay to say no when you want to say no without having to feel any sort of guilt for it. Of course, it takes a lot of work, it's not going to come immediately, but I think that's something we need to start building the vocabulary to say no. Other things that we can do whilst all of this stress comes up is first thing that comes to mind is mindfulness because that's going to help us a lot. Simple things like deep breathing can help. Just sit down, take some time to yourself, and do a very deep, slow breathing. Breathe in 4 counts, hold 2 counts, exhale 6 counts. Do it for about 5 minutes, and I think even that will help you to de stress immediately. Another thing that helps is journaling, and as cliche as it may sound, writing down something really helps a lot of people feel catharsis. Besides this, I think what's most important is also sleep. If all the doctors could write that on a prescription pad, that would be wonderful. All of us, I think, as a generation, we've begun to sleep much lesser than what we ideally should be. But sleep is our natural reset, and I think if we are able to do that, and a lot of our other activities also fall in place. So that's very important, at least somewhere between 6-7 hours at the minimum and 8 hours at an ideal would be nice if women were allowed themselves to have that liberty to sleep.
Ambitious.
Okay, so of course, the other thing that can help is physical movement. If you can exercise, even if it's not intense, going to a gym and etc., even like a normal walk or just putting on any song also in your house and dancing or doing some walking, even in the house, like from the idea of an exercise, that's good. So it will help you to remain fit, it will increase your confidence, it also affects your motivation to do work, so that will help. One more thing is that a lot of us, as we grow up and have household responsibilities, children, etc., we have forgotten to indulge in things that make us happy. So self-care is important, indulging in your hobbies is important. So if you can even take out like 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, that will give you a sense of centering. And lastly, I think what would help is as you're doing the journaling for stressors, it will also help to journal happy things as what we call gratitude journaling.
Right.
So when you look at it over a period of time, you realize that even if many things are not working in your favor, there are at least some things that you can be grateful for.
You can count your blessings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there are women who do not have support from their family or they don't feel loved, but they need to do something for their own good. What can they do? Are there any social organizations that they can reach out to?
Sure, a couple of things can be done. I mean, if there is a mental health concern and they need to talk to someone, there are a lot of helplines that are available. Top of the mind that I can talk about is the Vandrewala Foundation. They run a helpline. Then there is a helpline by TISS called iCall. There's also a helpline run by our very own BMC in Mumbai. It's called Hitkuj Helpline, and numbers, of course, we can
Share in our
share in
description.
our description. Besides that, there is a woman's cell, which is 181, the number, and there are one-stop centers which are available at major hospitals in Mumbai, where if there is any sort of trauma, any domestic violence, and if the woman has to be separated from the home, they can also go and stay there for a brief amount of time. Legal as well as medical help is provided in centers like that. Other than that, there are NGOs like Sneha, Majlis, Good Samaritans, who are available to help women. Again, they also provide legal help if required. So help is available if one wants to seek it.
Right. This is wealth of information that you've given us, and we'll definitely make sure to list out everything in the description box. Women should get help,
Absolutely, they have to, they must if it is required.
of course. It's Women's Day. Is there a message you'd like to give out to our women tribe?
Sure. To all the women who are listening, you are stronger than you think and your well being matters. You deserve all the happiness, respect, and peace. This Women's Day, promise to put yourself on your priority list because empowered women empower the world.
My takeaway from this conversation is never hesitate to take help, support yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself as much as you do for others, lift each other, support each other.
Just like we do.
Yes. Show us some love. Thank you for tuning into our channel and keep watching our content to unlock your inner Titiksha. Bye.